Dad. How are you today?
Hi, Jordana. It's a beautiful day here. Uh, the snow seems to be all gone, and today is March 17th, St. Patty's Day, St. Patrick, and today we're all Irish.
That is so true. I've been searching for that pot of gold all day, and I
Yes.
have not found it.
I think the leprechaun is still playing the lottery.
But I am wearing my green, and so hopefully that pot of gold will be mine. But there is so much catching up on Hallmark. They are nonstop showing some older movies while we are getting ready to spring into love 2024.
I think they're showing their older movies because the audience is watching March basketball, the NCAA's, both the men and the women, and people tend to watch their basketball games and put money on the games.
And I know you've been watching it, and my brothers have been watching it to see who's going to be making and I think they just announced them today.
They announced it, and it was a wonderful announcement, and they listed who they think is going to be the first and second seeds, and I personally think that the winner will be either the Huskies of Yukon or the Cougars of Houston.
Well, that's exciting. So we
Yes.
now, on video, have your predictions.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to have to make you a bracket.
All the teams that made it have a chance, and it's going to be a wonderful 2 weeks of March Madness. But don't forget, the women also have their March Madness. And you want to watch Caitlin Clark from Iowa, and you want to watch the Yukon Huskies women's team. They're outstanding.
Well, we definitely have some good basketball, but March Madness has some competition because we have Spring into Love 2024, which also begins.
Yes, Hallmark
Hallmark
is competing with the NCAA.
Starting March 23rd, they have Shifting Gears starts next Saturday night. So
Oh my God.
exciting! Every Saturday night we are starting back up.
Spring into Love, is that what it is?
It's called Spring into Love 2024, and Shifting Gears is going to be our first movie next Saturday night.
Well, we're going to review it, and a big wave out to our audience on the East Coast and to Alexa and Noah, who send me notification that they watch the show on a regular basis. We wave and wish your Huskies the very best.
So true, so true. Now let's get into this review. We do have two movies that we've watched in the last couple weeks. We are a little behind. We're just trying to play a little catch up. But we did watch the last movie of Lovuary. If you remember, that was going back to February, which was a premiere, and it was called Taste of Love. So we're going back a little bit, Dad. Do you remember this one? This one was
It was outstanding.
Yeah.
And it took place in Dunedin, Florida, which is near Clearwater, Florida, in the Tampa neighborhood. And we got to see a little bit of their heritage, and brought us to one of the wonderful areas of Western Florida.
And if I remember correctly, because there was childhood love and lots of goodness in this one brought you some tears while you were watching it.
Oh, it did. It brought a wonderful feeling to my heart to watch these young people fall in love, and the way they had that Hallmark presented it to us.
Right, because they were children when we first saw it. It was so cute, and they were running after the kitchen with their grandma in the kitchen, and the father being a chef.
Yes,
it was presented.
It was
so
young
well.
love.
Yeah.
These kids were 5 and 6 years old, and then when they got to be adults, they rekindled their love.
Yeah, it was a beautiful, beautiful story. Now, anybody who's out there, and Dad, you didn't know this, but the father, the chef, looks so familiar to me, and I placed it right away. And then the mother looks so familiar, and so I did a little research, and I knew who the father was, and I didn't place, and I didn't know that the love interest of our heroine Taylor was her father's real life son. So the father, who is Martin Kove, who is from a show called Cobra Kai, which is a
Yeah.
spinoff of Karate Kid. He plays John Kreese in it.
That was many years ago.
Many years ago.
Yes.
This is his real life son in it, and it's Jesse Cove. And he
Yes.
also is in Cobra Kai with him. And then Susan Gallagher, who's the mother, is also in Cobra Kai. So it's like their reunion in this
Well,
movie.
This is not unusual in Hollywood,
Yeah.
where mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, they follow their parents' footsteps, which occurs in a lot of professions.
Yeah.
Teachers, children become teachers, people emulate what their parents do. And here you had this young man who was doing what his father did,
Yeah.
and he was wonderful.
The cast was fantastic.
Hallmark did a great job.
Yeah, it was fun to watch.
Yeah.
The girl who played Taylor, Erin Cahill, also want to grow up and be a chef like her grandmother, and then the
Yes.
relationships, and it was overall we really
It
loved
was a
this
real
one.
family heartthrob, love, and it brought us back to when we were 6 and 7 years old,
Yeah.
and we loved the little boy or the little girl next door. In my case, the little girl next door, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful presentation.
Great movie about food, family, and great values.
Don't miss it. If you missed it, go back and review it. It'll give you a wonderful evening.
It was fantastic, and if you're a Cobra Kai fan, you will see people that you love.
Now, what happened last night?
So last night was a movie that we loved as well. It was not a premiere, but it was a redo. They reshowed it. It was the first time you saw it, and it was a great one too. This one was called The More Love Grows. Now this
Yes.
one I think, Dad, you loved a little bit more because there was some dogs in it.
Well, that's right. People always seem to fall in love over their neighbor's dog or their neighbor's cat, whatever animal they happen to be attracted to. But what was interesting, and what Hallmark did, is it brought forth what is happening today, and that is older married people with young adult children suddenly find that they and their spouse have nothing in common anymore. So the man or the woman you were married to for 30 or 40 years, you may think, well, maybe I should find something else, or there's no compatibility. And that's what Hallmark did in
Yeah.
presentation last night.
It was really interesting, and it also was about finding yourself, finding things you enjoy, finding just a lot of
Yes.
things. And I really loved that Hallmark explored this, and it didn't hurt that Elmer the dog was so adorable.
Yes, no question, because we find on our next door, which you find on your computer, and it's in everybody's house, that people are losing their dogs and cats constantly.
Yeah.
And what do you do with a dog that shows up at your front door?
Now, Rachel Boston, who's one of my favorites, and Warren Christie were the two leads in this, and they played a fantastic roles in this, and their chemistry was great. Warren Christie played the role of the vet, the neighborly vet. And Rachel Boston was the mother who was kind of having the crisis and finding herself. And
Yes.
it was fantastic. Now, there was one lady that looked kind of familiar in here.
Well, there was a young lady that we've seen many times before, and she was last seen by me in Virgin River.
Yes, so Lily
Yes.
showed up in this one.
And remember, the Virgin River cast is made up largely of Canadians, and Hallmark has tapped into that pool of wonderful talent to bring to our audience
Yeah.
all these stories. The one thing I'm afraid, though, Jordana, is when people watch last night's Hallmark, they may say, maybe I'll leave my spouse and seek out other old people to fall in love with. Because that's what it is, about older people leaving their spouse for another.
Well, especially especially because in this one, he came back and,
Yes.
and rethunk it, and so it was interesting. It was
Yeah,
very
she
interesting.
didn't give him a second chance.
I loved
Yeah,
it.
you're out of here. And away he went.
Well, because I think when you are put in a position and he started to see how fun she could be when she
Yes.
had the opportunity to find herself. Because when you're taking care of someone for so long and now you're taking care of yourself, you learn to explore your new things you actually enjoy to do.
Oh, no question.
And that's what Hallmark showed, is
And
find yourself.
we all know of our friends, our neighbors, who suddenly got to be 60, 70, even 80 years old, and they have split.
Is that a hint, Dad?
I have no idea. But what's Hallmark got for us next week?
So that's that we're getting into Spring into Love, and so we're going to be watching that Shifting Gears. And this one looks kind of interesting. It's about an auto mechanic or something in that kind of thing, which is the gear shifting thing. And so it looks interesting. We have a lineup. I think there's 6 new premieres coming up all in a row. So we have a lot of new Hallmark, exciting times.
Yes, just the title, Shifting Gears, involving an auto mechanic.
Yeah.
And by the way, to be an auto mechanic today is a very wonderful job. It pays very well. And we all need our family doctors and we need our auto mechanics. Sometimes we need our auto mechanics more than we need our doctors. So a shout out to them, and a shout out to Hallmark, and a shout out to all the teams who made it into the big dance.
Yeah.
And so for that, to all our audience, have a wonderful St. Patty's Day. Enjoy the rest of March. Remember, March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. And now we're going to be able to enjoy the lamb part of March.
Wonderful.
See you all later. Nice seeing everybody.
Have a good one, guys. Bye-bye.